Hello, my name is Alejandra Blanco and I got accepted in an internship at the State Department. And today, I will be sharing what I learned as an intern. But before sharing my experience, I will talk about the State Department and why it is so important. Follow me. The State Department, which is also referred as the Department of State, was established as the Department of Foreign Affairs by the Act of July 27 in 1789. It received its present name by the Act of September 15 in 1789. The department is responsible for planning and implementing American foreign policy. The Secretary of State is the President's chief advisor for foreign affairs. The department is divided in three different periods before its establishment in 1789. The first, the colonial era, which lasted up to 1774. During this time, Benjamin Franklin was the colonial agent in London. Franklin negotiated with the British government in 1774 to prevent the outbreak of the Revolutionary War. Even though his efforts were unsuccessful, he gained a great knowledge in foreign affairs and diplomatic skills. When war came, he was able to entail this task with wisdom. The second time was a time span of less than 2 years, marked by the Union of the Continental Congress on September and the outbreak of the Revolutionary War the following year, followed by the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776. The third period, also known as the New Nation, from 1776 to 1789, included the staff of foreign relations, directed by the Continental Congress, also known as the Philadelphia Government. Other events included the commencement of collegial foreign affairs, the appointment of Secretary for Foreign Affairs, the commissioning of American diplomats and consuls, and America's first treaty with foreign power nations. For over 150 years, the Department of State proudly, largely stood alone as the agency handling American foreign policy and foreign affairs. During World War I and World War II, Congress, as the presidential, established a number of agencies to handle special functions and circumstances arising from the wars. In addition, during the Cold War, new agencies were established. All the previous wars had a huge impact in today's State Department organization that will later be discussed. Now, what exactly does the State Department do? As the lead U.S. Foreign Affairs agency, the U.S. Department of State represents the United States at more than 270 diplomatic locations around the world, including embassies, consulates, and missions to international organizations. As you can see here, it is the official map showing all the posts and missions around the world. The Secretary of State, who is now Rex Tillerson, the ranking member of the cabinet and fourth in line of presidential succession, is the President's principal advisor on foreign policy, and the person chiefly responsible for representing the United States of America abroad. The primary goal of the Secretary of State and the U.S. Department of State is to shape a freer, more secure, and more prosperous world throughout formulating and implementing the President's foreign policy, while supporting and protecting Americans' interests abroad. The Department of State is responsible for promoting peace and stability in areas of vital interest to America, and helping developing nations establish stable economic environments. It is also a source of support for American businesses abroad working to achieve fair business practices in commerce, trade, manufacturing, and other interests, while also identifying viable opportunities for American businesses. The U.S. Department of State provides information and services for U.S. citizens traveling abroad, including passports, issuance, and it issues visas to foreigners who wish to visit the United States. The department is responsible for selecting and hiring employees who accomplish America's mission of diplomacy at home and around the world, including foreign service officers, foreign service specialists, and civil service professionals. Now, you're probably asking, why did I decide to go for this internship? Well, the youth are very important in foreign policy. Let Zinat Ram explain.
My name is Zinat Rahman, and I'm Secretary Kerry's Special Advisor on Global Youth Issues. My position was created because in this day and age, the key to successful diplomacy will be based on who we engage and how. This generation of young people is the largest that the world has ever known, and they're remarkable, optimistic, innovative, creative, and also impatient. We can't solve the massive challenges we face globally, things like climate change, access to education, economic growth, without the full participation of young people. So this is why it is critical that governments create opportunities which meet the aspirations of their young citizens. And getting that right will matter to all of us. So how do we link up the energy and innovation of young people with the changes that are so necessary? Well, the State Department is partnering with young people to solve our shared challenges and ensuring that youth issues are central to our foreign policy goals. To learn more about the work that's already happening, visit our website, follow us on Twitter, and on Facebook.
So now you're probably asking me, why the State Department? Even though the State Department is big, I'm leaning towards becoming a Foreign Service officer. Since I was little, I always dreamed that I was born to be an influential woman. I wanted to change the world and help others. During this internship, I met plenty of passionate people who encouraged me to start working towards becoming a Foreign Service officer. I learned that being a Foreign Service officer is not an easy task. I've heard happy stories and I've heard painful stories. But no matter what, diplomats continue spreading their love for their careers. Here is a short clip about stories of individual diplomats and their families.
Diplomats are a force throughout our history, securing alliances, opening markets, negotiating trade deals, and spreading American ideals around the world.
It's easy to understand the 101st Airborne when they go out and they win a big battle for America. It's not as easy to understand the battles that are won every day in the field by America's diplomats abroad.
I go to South Africa with no uncertainties about the rightness of our objectives.
South African president at the time, P.W. Botha, was a fellow out of Central Casting.
He said, "You didn't hear me, did you? I don't want you traveling around our country. I don't want you getting involved in our affairs." He began to rant and rave, and his aides were visibly shaken.
Too often, we only recognize their sacrifice when things go wrong.
My first tour, which was in India, cost me a son to bad medical care. Had we lived in the United States, he would still be with us.
It was, in some ways, an ideal assignment if it all hadn't come crashing down on the 4th of November.
We have breaking news. An American, we can confirm now, has been killed in Libya tonight at the consulate.
Benghazi was a tragedy. I just think ultimately they got it wrong, proved wrong, and it was a tragic event.
Benghazi and the way it has been politicized in our domestic debate has made Washington, frankly, scared of taking any losses, and I think that will continue whichever party is has the next administration.
I was the last one up and had taken a few steps when this boom, huge percussion came and threw me back. I thought, I'm going to die.
It's done because people love the concept of serving their country, and they love the idea of taking American ideals abroad.
These are the foot soldiers on the front lines of America's foreign policy. These are America's diplomats.
Now, I will discuss my experience. During this life-changing internship, I met American Foreign Service officers who were open to answer any questions I had. And that was the most important part. At the time, I was working at the Office of Foreign Missions, at the front office as a program assistant. Every day, I had to interact with oncoming diplomats from different nations. I was responsible for initial work, authorizations, applications, and claims. I provided assistance to requesters, applicants, claimants, and compiled program statistics and reporting. But this wasn't all. These are my co-workers. I was present in meetings with high officials, discussing the solution of current world events. Also, I assisted to different events, such as diplomatic simulations, a tour of the Ralph J. Bunche Library, a meeting with consular fellows, among many others. Overall, this was an amazing learning experience, and I would like to encourage everyone who's interested in foreign relations to apply. Thanks for watching.